Welcome, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. This is the monthly show. I hope you can hear me now, diversion colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the Valley University of Technology Student Academic Development Support and Work Graded Learning. We are hosting one of the partners of Valley University of Technology, and that is JEDD Civils. We have the managing director, Mr. Walter Mgiba. He will be introduced to you properly. And of course, in the second hour, we'll talk to his students who are the graduates from the Valley University of Technology Work Integrated Learning. We did P1 and P2. I don't know whether they still call it that. We'll hear from them at JEDD Civils, and they are now working there, and we will engage with them in the second hour. The first hour will be anchored by Mike Motilal and Sylvia Mamrare. They will introduce themselves. This is the show that is based on the principles called the IDEA. We inform and entertain, develop and educate, empower and support, associate and network. Let's slowly get into it. I'm going to hand over to Divesh to greet the listeners, introduce himself, and then, of course, our guest. And let's start the conversation. I'm glad that you are all here, looking forward to hear the beautiful story of the JEDD Civils in partnership with the Valley University of Technology, focusing on integrated learning. Over to you, my colleague Divesh.
Thank you very much to you, Sam, and good evening to the listeners. My name is Divesh Motilal, resident DJ at Kometsa Radio, and also a graduate of the Kometsa Digital Online Streaming Mastery Program. And today we're very excited to bring to you yet another show focusing on VUT, but also focusing on our guest, Mr. Walter Mgiba, as Sam had outlined. But before we get into the details with our guest, I'd like to give my co-anchor an opportunity also to introduce yourself. Over to you, Sylvia.
She's not in yet. You can carry on. She's battling to connect. So carry on, Divesh. I'll let you know when she has joined.
No problem. Thank you, Sam. Um, okay, just as a short introduction, the VUT, Val University of Technology, has a support program called Work Integrated Learning, and it not only provides work opportunities for students that are graduating or about to graduate, but also they have engagements with industry leaders, potential employers who can also add some value in terms of skills to the students, as well as the process, the value chain that we would need in our country from academic institution all the way into the work environment. And we are very honored today to have Mr. Walter Mgiba, who's the managing director and operations director of JEDD Civils. But over and above his position that he currently holds, he also is a graduate that went through the VUT's Work Integrated Learning Program. And we would like to hear from him so that our listeners out there, other students, other employers, potential for these kinds of value chains that we talk about, could actually learn from our lessons that we've gone through. So I would like to give Mr. Walter Mgiba an opportunity just to introduce himself as well as give us further information about his background. Over to you, Mr. Mgiba.
Giba. I was born in a small village of Islington, Bushbuck Ridge in Pumalanga. I hold a BTech in Civil Engineering Transportation. Obviously from VUT, I am a member or I'm registered with EXA as a professional engineer. I'm happy to be part of the show. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like us also to just look at I've engaged with you previously, but I would like that passion that you have to also go to the listeners so that they can also be inspired by more details in terms of your journey. As a beneficiary of the work integrated program, what could you tell other students who might be listening? Uh, People, what can they learn from people like yourself? Because for me, it's inspiration from where you started off and how you actually went into your career development, especially the engineering environment. Could you share your career journey a bit more with us to where you actually are today?
Oh, cool, sure. As I mentioned, that I come from a small village of Islington in Bushbuck Ridge. I went to Kokobela Primary School, where I've completed my standard 5. And then I further went to Mhlangana High School, where I've completed my matric. That was in the year 2004. During that particular year, I was actually appointed as a student's president, which gave me a motivation to start leading from front. I may say that in the very same year, we were I was one of the few students that was successful in math, science, and biology, which was quite an achievement for the village school. And then, with such results that I've got, it opened my door to VUT University of Technology. I may say that I didn't apply on time, which I hope in future student knows that we have to apply on time. I had to go there, write a test, and I was accepted for civil engineering, which I enrolled from the beginning of 2005, where I did my first semester. With that, and then during my S4, it was an S4, where, when you're at the varsity and S4, you don't know what is next, because it's either you go home and do nothing, or you find opportunity. And, being associated with friends and classmates that are coming through bursaries from bigger construction company or design firms, it happened that I had none of that opportunity that I'll be placed after my qualification. Then I started wondering as to what is the next step, Walter. You've done your S4, S1 to 4, you completed everything, your results are looking good, but what's next? Being a student, I've never applied for work. And then I was told about the cooperative department that, go there and find out how it works. Maybe they will assist you in finding placement. Then I went, completed my forms. I remember very well. It was towards the end of 2006 on my first semester. I was writing my second last subject before we closed, where I received, I think the first call came from Joburg Water. They said, Walter, we are invited to come for an interview. I said, what? But I didn't apply. They said, no, we received your information from a school. So I said, sure, I'm happy. I'm available to come. In the very same week, I don't know whether it was my lucky week, I got another call from, I think it was from Transnet, if I'm not mistaken, yes. And then for another interview. And then before I could even, hold my breath, and then JEDD Civils calls me for an interview. And then attended all the 3 interviews. What was very interesting, it's all the 3 companies had their start dates, which for me to start working. And JEDD Civils wanted me to start in January, which was the first week of January. So through cooperative education, I was placed at a newly established company called JEDD Civils. 17 years later, I'm here. And I can tell you, this was a life changer. In fact, I am lucky that JEDD Civils called me to start early, because I could have been confused as to where do I go to between the 3 companies. But lucky enough, I'm with JEDD Civils. That's the best ever, opportunity you can ever want.
Let's welcome Sylvia Divesh.
Can you give the listeners a little bit about yourself, Sylvia, and welcome to.
Yes, good afternoon, colleagues. Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. My apologies. I think I just had a glitch with my gadgets on this side. Thank you. I have been listening, though I could hear everything. And I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you, Coach Simak. Thank you to Mr. Mgiba and my co-host, Divesh. I am with you on this session, and I'm looking forward, quite interested in it. Yes, my name is Sylvia Mamurare, and then I will be the co-anchor of today's show. So as I said earlier on, much as I'm joining a bit late, but I have heard everything. I haven't lost anything. So I will continue. Let me not disturb you most, Mr. Mgiba. I'm looking forward to this communication and discussion. So I hand it back to you.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Mr. Mgiba, for the background that you shared with our listeners. And it is indeed inspiring, as I had mentioned before, the journey that you've traveled. And I must also say, I think it's a bit of luck and a blessing as well, if I look at your career, that you made the decisions that you made. And what you were sharing about the experience of and benefits of the work integrated learning program that VUT had with JEDD at a very early start. That's also something that our listeners hopefully can see, can add lots of value to their own careers. But that being said, can you tell us a little bit about JEDD Civils and their relationship that they have had and what you've developed over the years between JEDD Civils and VUT?
Yes, so I started by completing my P1 and P2 with JEDD Civils because I would guess it's the quality of student I was. I was then appointed as a technician, then junior site agent, contract manager, and I currently hold a position as a managing and operation director of large works. And I can confirm that I'm a majority shareholder of the business. We are doing about 500 million per annum. What JEDD does, what do we do? JEDD is it's a construction company predominantly participating in a coal mining environment in Mpumalanga area. We have since now moved to the platinum site in the northwest, where we are busy with our first project. And then our main focus in the mining infrastructure project is more the large earthworks, your whole road, internal road, surface, unsurface road, ventilation shaft, processing plant, heavy motor vehicle workshops, building offices, ablution facilities, and buildings related to the mine infrastructure. And we also build your EMV workshop and your diesel bay and your tire bay and all infrastructure that's required for the mine to be able to do their mining activities. In an environmental project, we do a lot of your mine closure and your rehabilitation. We are currently busy with a pen reconstruction project, your river diversion, your clean and dirty water management, your pollution control dams, silt trap, and drains. We also involved in other projects that were outside the mines, which mostly it was rainwater. We were part of Segarbo Station 3, 400 megaliter flow collection and sedimentation tank. The reason I'm mentioning this project, that's where we started with the program, our WIL program. That's where our first student started. And we recently completed a chlorine building, which one of our students was a site agent championing that project without any other supervision on site other than us from the office, which is a success story. So if I can elaborate more of maybe my role as a director, I head multiple departments. Your marketing, which involves finding more work, new markets, tendering, estimating, and also making sure that the company is running. I'm also more into the current running project and the future project, supporting my contract manager, site agents, and my student, obviously. I am the link between the sites and the head office. As I mentioned, I'm also a shareholder. I participate in the board meetings and also support the other directors, like the finance directors and the rest of the board. In the way of, or in the form of giving back, you know, I have a lot of passion in assisting the student, more especially from VUT. With the work integrated learning, yearly I targeted to take at least 8 students, a minimum of 8 students, which it's about 4 per semester. So that's my target, and we're working too hard to make sure that we grow that number to at least 10 in the near future.
Sylvia, are you able to engage with Mr. Mgiba, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mgiba. Quite a very enriching background, and I'm listening to you, and I'm already very much inspired, as if I would have been at the age of the students and the potential type of people that you're looking for. I understand when you are explaining the role of your organization, and exactly what you just said now regarding being involved in this work integrated learning. And I'm very instilled in terms of how you are taking it quite serious in terms of looking at this young graduate, which is something that most of the organizations probably might not be doing it in detail as you are at this point in time. I do know that this, as you look at it now, it's more looking at a very unique approach in terms of what JEDD Service is doing with these learners whom are targeted directly from the learning institutions, because I do know that most of the organizations wouldn't necessarily get into doing it into the detail and the diligence that your organization is doing it. What I just need to find out from you, Mr. Mgiba, is that as you are indicating in terms of your plan with this process of the work integrated learning, what would you say are the challenges that your organization or yourself, as in owning this project at this point in time? What are the challenges that you are experiencing? And maybe obviously explain these challenges for us from the perspective of your organization and probably the JEDD leadership themselves, as in looking at this project, your workforce or other employees on how they view and integrate this, and as well as your stakeholders. Please, can you just share that with us?
It's just not easy to get a buy-in, more especially when people have no experience of how it works and how it can benefit the company. I think with me, it was much easier because I've came through the project. So I could easily emphasize the importance of opening gates for other students, the importance of building the second me through the process. And I gave a lot of reasons why I feel like this project could be taken seriously. Until to a point, I think it was 2016, where the board agreed with me that this was the way to go. I'll share a little bit of the future prospect regarding this this prospect in a later stage. But the difficulty, initially, the company find it as a cost or money wasting exercise, because they said you can get an engineer or student or technician that is readily available to come and start work immediately, as opposed to getting someone who you need to teach him from the beginning, and which become a little bit of a challenge, that we're spending money, we're trying to teach the student, but you can get someone right and start work. Most especially with project, you get awarded a project, you have to get a project immediately right and running. That is the most of the challenge that we have, because having to put together the student and get them ready to start with a new project is not easy. That's one thing. Second thing will be finding students. Our students in VUT come from across the board. You can find that some students that are in a work integrated learning database, they're not anywhere near where the projects are. So we request a list, we find a list, and then we prepare that we're going to start doing the interviews, but students struggle to come to site or to relocate or to be closer to where the work is, where we end up missing opportunities that can be useful to other students who are nearby, who are already available. And the other student will be student that predominantly want to just focus on the design or on the office type of work, which is not wrong. However, they accept the opportunity, but the minute they realize that they're going to be on site doing the actual work or getting trained, they only last maybe a short period of time, which then it upsets the company systems, because we're trying to work on this project, but it's not seems to be taking forwards due to those difficulties. Other than that, employees at the companies, at times with this program, we take a student in different departments, be it your HR department, be it your admin, be it your safety. In all departments, say about 30% of our teachings, it doesn't revolve in engineering. Then 70%, that's where you go, you do a practical work, you perform your duties as an engineer. But we first get you through the other related, training. So you find that there's a very little buy-in of the more resident employees that have been here. They find a little bit of challenge that if this guy, we teach them too much, they will come and outperform us, and then we're going to end up becoming be losing our jobs. That type of narrative, which is not correct. So it's a challenge that we need to encourage, and we need to educate our employees about the power of bringing new knowledge, a fresh blood in the system, and making sure that we grow the company together. The stakeholder and community, at times, we find a challenge where, for example, working in a mining space, they will say, but you're taking a student that is coming from the VAL or that is coming from Limpopo, but there are people around Witbank that are not employed. Why are you not starting by going to Emalafinity VET first before you go there? But we need to then explain our duty and my commitment with the VAL University, that I've got a commitment that I would like to still pursue. Without VAL giving me this program under WIL, I couldn't be here to demonstrate what I'm demonstrating now to our communities. So I have to balance the community expectation, also my expectation as a company, and also the expectation of the school from what we're trying to achieve. I hope I've covered everything that you were looking for.
Indeed. I think you've really explained it quite well, because that's the reality out there in the world of work. You are fighting for young, qualified students, or the youth that is currently a challenge in the in the country, for the fact that they are so unemployed but qualified, and at the same time they do not have an experience. And one can just imagine that this challenge that you will be facing is the convincing that has to go into the organization to now basically say that you are bringing someone who is inexperienced and who has never been in the world of work. But I do really respect and really commend you in terms of making sure that you stand firm on this, and that should be a very good example, especially to the project that VUT, the Valley University of Technology, is doing, because this is what we need to really encourage and motivate and have more of the organizations or even companies to actually view at this particular program, because it allows that integrated learning with the work very, very much easier. And thank you for that, Mr. Mgiba.
Indeed, Sylvia, I fully agree with you, and I resonate with the passion and the need that Mr. Mgiba has fulfilled as the age-old adage goes, that it takes a village to raise a child to become an adult. Likewise, with bringing a student into the workplace, it entails a whole value chain. Mr. Mgiba, you did touch on some of the benefits from your perspective. Can you elaborate in terms of what a program such as the Work Integrated Learning Program that you've been through and you've also inculcated into your own organization, from a perspective of the student, from the perspective of the educator, the employer being yourself, as well as the community? You did mention some of the challenges. Can you elaborate a bit more in terms of that value chain and the value that a program such as the Work Integrated Learning Program brings into that value chain?
I think you know, if you look at the nature of our business, you know, it's more of I've now unearthed the benefit more than the challenges, you know, through the value chain. Work integrated learning has become our key strategy for employment for two reasons. It provide us with an opportunity to bring a raw talent into life. It gives us an opportunity to guide, to educate, to nurture, and to to support or to guide the students through the company culture and values right from the foundation phase. You know, we prefer to build our own engineers because we believe that we are the best in what we do in our field. For our company growth, it has become an embedded strategy that we concentrate on bringing up new students that they can, align with the core values of the business to help our company to grow. And it has been very much successful. And we believe that with our product, the company will be sustained. At the current moment, I think majority of our students remain in a business, and we are starting to feed the bigger sector. So it's more like the benefit than more the challenge at the moment.
Mm. Yeah, that sounds quite very interesting in that, Mr. Mgiba. You know, it just shows basically on how you are all at the same time taking care of your personal brand, because what you are doing is putting yourself on the line, for in case the students that you are bringing themselves, as you saying, the importance is for them to actually stay, and not only stay in the organization, but also to become productive and effective in terms of the organizational goals and objectives. And one actually looks at it to be saying that your core value, you know, and I understand, I remember when you mentioned that part of your core value is to develop the people to make a difference in the life of a person. And indeed, it makes sense what you are saying, that it is more of the benefit rather than the challenges, and hopefully that the students themselves, and I keep on referring them to students, but obviously they are not students anymore now that they've entered the world of work, but at least to understand this opportunity and the advantage of what VUT has exposed them into. Because it's very difficult to enter the world of work now, coming straight from an academic institution without having worked before, and just to walk into the organization that will basically value you from the qualification that you just acquired. Because it's the point of departure in terms of the newly appointed employees to apply their newly acquired skills in a workplace where they are expected to actually be productive and to contribute towards the successful achievement of the organizational goals. Now, it is common that in most cases, this will basically be the wish that most of the organization would like to follow. But in terms of what you have just explained now, what will then be more of your perspective in terms of and the experience in relation to this value of the impact that the work integrated learning has had in relation to the students, the employers, as well as the community? Because we would like to ensure that the purpose of this discussion, and I think the purpose of this show, is to try and encourage even more of from the listeners. They should basically just hear the success story, and that they should actually encourage it and take a learning from it, and probably take it further and try to implement it to their organizations and other people as well.
Using my case study, work integrated learning changes life.
Mm.
I am where I am today because of the opportunity that I was given
Yeah.
by work integrated learning. You know, when you come from a very challenging background, you know, most especially every student that goes to university with a hope for a better future, most especially those who are coming from the disadvantaged background like myself, you know, there's quite a lot of expectation from our parents, be it from the village or where we come from. As soon as you complete your study, they want to see two things from you. They want to see you graduating. They want to see you working. They want to see you changing life. Majority of students are coming with a hope that they will get an NSFAS study and then work. If this program doesn't help you to position or locate you to a future, it can be very challenging to face the life. At the end of the day, you end up going home and become wasted. I must add that over 80% of our students that has participated through over the years through this program between JEDD and the VUT, they are permanently employed. Most of them permanently employed by me or by JEDD to that extent, because we believe that each and every student has got a strong side. He might be having a lot of strength on a site or in an office. Somewhere along the line, you fit somewhere. It's the only challenge is to, determine or understand where do you actually fit. So I believe that in the student that I develop, somewhere in the company, there will be a position that perfectly fit their strength. That's how my take and my approach into this training it's concerned. So we try to establish their strength and make sure that we capitalize on that. That's another point that I wanted to just add. And then I can confirm to you from 2016, when I started this program, there is no year that went by without us taking students. Even during COVID, we had projects. The minute we were open to go back to work, we managed to still take a few students. We might not have reached the 8 number that we want, but we took few students and take them to the training. I might say that if my numbers are right, about 70% of students that I've taken over the years are working for us. They are part of the business. As the number of employment grows in the business, it includes the work integrated learning champions that are part of our business. So we promote the growth, we promote development, we also promote further education. We make sure that we assist our students to study further and become better in what they do, to also keep up with the advancement of life and how things are happening in a day-to-day. We also promote the registration with professional bodies, which enlarge their exposure to knowledge in what they're doing.
Would you say that this kind of a program, this engagement that you have from an employer to students, and potentially enhance educational outcomes? Of course, you've mentioned a very good 70% of the students that go through your program with yourselves get employable within your organization. But I would also think that you still increase their employability, even if it's outside of your organization.
The reason I quoted 70% of our students that are predominantly working for us now, I get excited to tell you that the majority of our students are working in big corporate now. They are holding bigger positions, and which gives me something to celebrate. At the end of the day, we don't revolve in an isolation. We revolve with other companies around us. So we always make sure that our students are geared to face the world. So yes, for sure, we've got students that are now working for bigger corporation, and they will say in the WIL department, they used to deal with one of our strong students, which is not part of the conversation today, Zinhle. That she was championing this for me on my behalf. She just got a good position in another corporate, which we're happy about that. For us to grow, we also have to be in a position to let go some of the students to other corporates so we can open opportunities for them, for other students.
Beautiful, beautiful. So obviously this contributes quite well to your retaining strategy, because then your departments, other department within the organization, for instance, your HR would basically should be marveling with this particular project and the integrated process, to the fact that not only does the organization yield results in terms of the technical side of performance, but obviously their HR, their people side is also gaining a lot, to the fact that if 70% of the student of these people continue to work for the organization, it just means that they continue to be meaningfully employed, and this is the reason that they are staying basically with you. And those that leave are basically living in terms of the growth, as you have said earlier on, that you promote the growth and you promote the further study. So once they stay and acquire that experience, be exposed to doing the real job, it gives them such a better opportunity for their growth as well, and that's what makes them to be able to then move into greater heights. And I am quite excited to hear that your organization is basically seeing this as a success, that you don't regret to be saying that we're losing the gem of the people that we have developed or structured right from the beginning. How then does this interrelation, as I said, from the different departments, what would you say are which measurements, performance indicators do you use to determine the success of this partnership between the JEDD and VUT, from the work integrated learning perspective? Are we succeeding in this entire project?
Yes, the question came in at that time. When I look at the charts, I saw one of our finance director just joined in, Kelly Ferguson. Just to mention, when you're taking the students through the different departments, there's always a performance review that each department has to perform to give us the feedback according to what they have seen from the student, be it from the finance side, be it from the HR side, be it from the tender side. All the departments have a say about the type of student that we bring in. That's one point that I would like to mention. And then other than that, the scale keeps changing. When you have one and you are the one who's championing the whole thing, the scale might be a little bit fair. But the more the student, we make sure that the scale is much tighter so that we don't lose the core reason of doing this program. And at times we also take 1 or 2 students from different universities that we compare with our 8 students. So in an event where I can take 8 students from VUT and then I take 1 or 2 from our sister university around, being from Johannesburg or Pretoria, and then we put them together, we mix them together. Then they get to discuss what they've went through their academics, what they've done, what they've learned, what type of projects have they done. And part of their exposure to work, I give them projects that I check and then evaluate that they have to submit. They have to submit back to me for evaluation. That I mark them and I rate them as the student. So majority of our students are doing quite well, are performing quite well, and they are adjusting or adapting very well with the work environment, most especially through this program, and to actually support our success rate is because 80% of the students get employed by us, and in the various side different departments. So I'll say that so far it has been working very, very well. There is always a room to improve, but we are happy with our measurement that we put in place to measure our student.
Wow, Mr. Mgiba, I really must commend you as well. You have shown much success over the many years that the program has been running. And of course, there's been value add for the students, the educators, and yourself as well as an employer. I was just in honor as again of Women's Month coming up. I know one of the challenge areas, focus areas, especially for the engineering sector, built environment sector, is to encourage females in the STEM environment. Uh, can you share with our listeners your perspective, some of your wins that you've had in terms of bringing females into the program as well as bringing them into the industry?
I'm just, as you asked, I was just looking at the statistics here. We are also committed to try and bridge the gap of inequalities in our businesses. And I've seen a lot of female students counter working the male student. The times are gone where we feel like engineering or site work require only males. We've opened an opportunities in such a way that female students come to site, comfortably work without any fear or any threats of being treated otherwise. Majority of our students that remain in the business as a permanent employees are female. And you will note on the next segment of this interview, I've brought 2 female students and 1 male to try and motivate or encourage other companies to see that you can still build female engineers that can deliver the best to the world.
Mhm. Well done. Well done, Mr. Mgiba. You know, your results into the entire project is basically showing on its own. You know, when Divesh is asking you about the question of the female, it just reminds me of my experience. I come from an environment where I headed an organizational academic institution where we basically were training and developing employees or young people as well. And in the especially, I just want to take an example of the technical area. You know, we had people that were doing coded welding at the time. And you know, you talking about females, and I think I am proud as well when I listen to this, because being a female and having seen how female students, you know, deal well with their counterparts at work and as well as in their academic institutions. But you know, the example that we saw at the coded when they were doing coded welding is that the female students, they were actually a little bit better, more accurate in their welding than the male students. And we were trying to understand why is that, saying that maybe to the fact it doesn't necessarily need a strength, but it just needed just the issue of the being stable, like your hand that you do when you are doing the coded welding. And they ended up mostly coming up as high achievers in terms of doing better with this. And I think this is exactly a good example onto the fact that even though you are looking at the employees, you better look at what are the capabilities. It's not just a matter of a window dressing effect, but it's more to the fact that you do get equally good results, with all the students that you basically are getting. And bravo to you on that as well. I think that's a very good point there, in terms of convincing quite well why you need to look at all that. And Divesh is right. This is the time we're moving into a month of females and women, and such examples encourages what the drive to this whole aspect is. But how will you then can you just take us through, Mr. Mgiba, just the entire process from the JEDD perspective for the benefit of those who are going to join the VUT Work Integrated Learning Program for the first time? Because obviously one can already see that it actually encourage learners from all across the board, from all the gender bases, and it doesn't also just focus on that. What would you say that the JEDD perspective, in terms of those who will still be joining VUT?
With my experience, as far as the relationship that I have with VUT, and I have never really encountered difficulties as far as getting the student that I want on time. And the school is committed in making sure that they deliver. They're driving the whole process, which makes it easy for us as companies. Like I mentioned that for year, I need at least 8 students. My duty is to give them the student that I need, be it the age of students that I want, the gender, and the length of the position that I have available. So in our company, we have appointed a facilitator, or we've got a facilitator. I've mentioned that Zinhle used to head that facilitation, where we between myself and the HR said we need so much student at this certain site for this certain duration. From there, VUT will facilitate. They will do the screening for us. They will send us a pack that of the students that we're looking for. Say we need, say, 8 students. We can say to them, send us a pack of 60 students so that we can be able to assess and also have an opportunity or power to choose who we are looking for. Maybe we'll state that we need a 50-50%, 50 female, 50 male. And then depending on the interviews and the result that we get, then we select from that end. So the process working with VUT is very seamless. It's very easy. It costs nothing. Your email can solve, one email can solve all your problem, and you have a student on your doorstep.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mgiba. You mentioned 8 students every year. Is that the plan for the next academic year or the end of this financial year?
I think we've taken the first crowd for this year. And then what we do is so that we can give enough attention to the students, because I still evaluate their reports, I still sign off their reports as soon as they finish their studies or their site experience. So we already taken the first batch. I think we're going for now. It's the second half of the year. We're gonna still take another 4 students to complete the 8 for this year. We have a couple of new projects that are starting, which opens better opportunities for more students. And we also have a couple of employees that have went to other companies that also given us another opportunity to add more students. So we are looking into taking few students. We'll be engaging with the university within a month, within this month or early in the new month.
Just in
Divesh,
terms of
if I may interject there, while Mr. Mgiba is still on the point, there was a question from Rabula who said, for the benefit of the listeners, can we explain what is P1 and P2?
And also, sorry, while you also responding to that question, I just wanted to also add there, if you assist with regards to the students registering as professionals, whether it's PR Tech or PR Eng, so I think that's also in alignment with the P1 and P2. Thank you.
Yes, basically, in our terms, I will answer it while I was doing the P1 and P2. For us to graduate and get our diploma, we need to prove that we got enough exposure or enough competence from site. We need to try and prove that we managed to take the theory that we've learned at school and put into reality on site. So as a student, you're required to go to the field and do your practical training. So you do your practical 1, practical 2. I know that in our years, it was a year. You will do it for the first 6 months, you do your P1, second 6 months, do your P2. But I think after COVID and stuff, they've reduced the time. I think it's about 6 months currently. So that is the training we're referring to. It's basically in-service training that you have to submit reports to the university for you to be able to apply a graduation certificate. And then as far as professional registration, I'm a member of SACE, and then I'm also registered with EXA and encourage professional registration with our student. It brings a lot of development. It open the way. It enables students to think a little bit broadly because they get to interact with other professionals from other industry, which brings about a lot of change in the work environment or in how we do things as JEDD civils.
Very good, very good. I think it just shows a very good, a robust skills planning, from your organization. And as you mentioned earlier on, that the benefit and the results are not only from the technical field, but it's shared across the different departments within an organization. And obviously, this is just a very clear indication that already when you are planning what you're going to need and sharing it with the university, and they are preparing that list for you, you are then able to do a very proper skills planning, and that becomes one of the very good scorecard for any organization when it comes to people and culture. Just out of that, Mr. Mgiba, what would you say now, or which insights or knowledge and experience would you like to share with other corporates that may want to emulate the JEDD and join the forces with the academic institutions on the work integrated learning initiatives?
How I will start, answering this question, it's I was given an opportunity, and that opportunity changed my life. Where we are sitting in a managerial or senior position in a company, the world doesn't end with us. There are tons of students that are coming out of varsity that can add value in developing our country forward. Let's open these opportunities. Let's give students a try. Let's work with work integrated learning and promote the growth in for new students. It's gonna make us a better community and a better country. So I will say that at times it will look like I'm gonna get a student. I will have to pay a certain amount every month. It's coming out of my margins or my profit or my expectation in the business. But I tend to differ. By having these extra hands, extra eyes, extra student, it's actually improving your margin. So it's not a waste of time and money. It actually can benefit your businesses. So I suggest that give it a try where you've got new opportunity, even though you've got senior student, bring about new student and blend the old and the young, it's just going to reinforce the growth of your business. We are where we are now with the contribution of the student. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mgiba. Indeed, you've outlined through many years of experience being a benefit of the VUT's Work Integrated Learning Program and growing into your own career, adding some of that value and benefits to other students along the way does prove to me that, this kind of a program can add value on various levels, from the student's perspective, from the employer's perspective, and also this on a bigger scale does have a positive impact on our communities, a much needed impact, especially with the high levels of unemployment that we are facing in our country, and a lot of the youth as well, even some graduates need to carefully look at these opportunities and really benefit from the type of opportunities like you have. And I truly must say that for me, especially, you really are an inspiration. That passion that you've shared actually shows that's something that's important that we need to bring into these programs. And I do commend you and thank you for that, and wish you the best to continue on this journey. For me as well, I did learn a lot from this conversation with yourself that I'm hoping that students have benefited from as well, and also corporates that might hear this show either live or from the podcast can also see how much value such a program can bring into their organizations. Do you have some insights that you'd like to also add from your engagements today, Sylvia?
Wonderful. Thank you, Divesh. I share your sentiment. You've said it quite well. Mr. Mgiba, this is a very, very good project. And we are so delighted to realize that there are still people like yourself. There are still good examples of people coming from the corporate world that are looking at this program, that are continuing to ensure that it is successful. And I would like to wish you well and hope that we do get even more of the other corporates that would learn from this. Thank you very much, Mr. Mgiba.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. It's really indeed inspirational insights that you shared with us. Now we are transitioning into here the products of JEDD civils themselves. I call them products, but we're talking people here. We're talking about the VUT WIL graduates that were given the opportunity by Mr. Mgiba to come and learn and happen now to be working there. Maybe if we can just allow them few minutes to settle down, and our anchor, Mr. Rapula Mulivani, to sit straight or take a glass of water. He is here. And of course, Masia is here, Tandek Amkonas is here, and Walter Maluleke is here. Those are the three graduates that have already cut their what do I put? How do I put it? Tested their knowledge on a real life situation, and Mr. Rapula is going to be engaging with them. Just few seconds, and then a few seconds of music, and then Rapula will take over. Mr. Rapula, you can start getting ready. And then, of course, Divesh and Sylvia, thank you so much. You are welcome to stay in the studio. And also, Mr. Mgiba, you're welcome. After this piece of music, we're going to hand over to Rapula to hold a conversation with the three graduates.
Thank you, Sam. Do you know when you're listening to the visionaries and then you come in behind, it makes life much more difficult. But let's make our life much more easier. My name is Rapuda Mudibani. I'm currently a managing director of Retalifile Holding Group, which is core business is mentoring and coaching. So, and entrepreneurs. But when you link work integrated learnings and entrepreneurs, we find that in many instances they are identical because both of them lead to a practicality of what you have learned before. Without any waste of time, I'm going to welcome I call them my peers because they are on a shop level, who are the products of working integrated learning. As I'm also a product of Comesa Radio, but now I'm going to host, anchor the three musketeers who are going to share with us what the JEDD civils meant for them or is still meaning for them. Let me start by first welcoming Marcia. I'm not going to go into any order. I'll just pull up the name. And then Marcia will tell us about her background, where she come from, why JEDD civils. And then she'll be followed by Tandeka, and then we're followed by Diniso. So I'm putting them in that order, but when it comes to exploring our show for this evening, it'll be in a different order. Marcia, just tell us about your background, and then we can take it from there.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcia Masia. I am currently a site technician at JEDD Civils. So I was born in Venda, Limpopo, Matangari. So I went to Ndivani Primary School. I actually went to 2 primary school. From there, I went to Manenje Primary School. That's after that, I went to Mphalaleni High School. That's where I finished my matric. So from Mphalaleni, I went straight to VUT, where I did civil engineering. So after that, I went home for quite some time when I couldn't get work integrated learning. So when I was at home, that's when I got the call from JEDD Civil saying I need to come in for an interview because I was one of the students who were chosen from the program at VUT. And I have been here since. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Tandega, just give us a little bit about the background. Just relax, don't be a little bit in a hurry like I am.
Good evening to
Tandega?
us. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Good evening, everyone listening. Yes, my name is Tanya Mkwanazi. I was born and raised in Witbank, so I'm going to share a brief overview of my academic and professional journey with you guys. So my educational journey began in Duba Primary School in the early 2000s, followed by a Patriot High School. During that time, I had the opportunity to attend career exhibition hosted by the school. That helped me explore various fields of study and potential university to apply to, which ultimately guided my decision to enroll with VUT in 2012. At VUT, my aim was to acquire hands-on experience while studying, with the goal to launch my career immediately upon completing my S4. However, transitioning from academic life to the professional world presented its challenges. After my semester 4, I faced the difficulties of securing practical work. Despite applying to dozens of companies before I've sent my CV to the Work Integrated Learning at VUT, which then they secured me a space with JEDD Civils. That was the marking start of my professional career in July of 2015, if I have the dates correctly. That shift from school to workplace was both exciting and demanding. On site, I worked as a student technician. My focus was pre and post-concrete inspection, material testing, quantity takeoff, and site supervision. The project that I was recruited from was in rainwater. We were doing sedimentation tanks. 2 large sedimentation tanks and a flocculation tank that was worth 94 million. So the experience there highlighted the difference between academic guidelines and the dynamic decision on site. So I've learned that in the real world, the scenarios are not what you read on paper. You need to have professional.
Can I inject in here? You're already talking about the transition, but I was just looking about your background first before we go into that life exposure with other students from I normally called villages. Those are the guys who are require more and more the transition. How do they transit? Because don't forget, we come from environment where there's no lights, or you still use a bucket to go and draw water from the river. You go to a city life, which is completely different. There's a transition there. We'll speak about it later on. Let me rather pull in. I'm not pulling back, hold back the thought. Pull in Tinyiso to just give us about his background. We'll go to the work experience transition later on. Tinyiso?
Evening, everyone. How are you doing this evening? The name is Tiso Maleka. I was born in Tembisa, but I was raised in Malamlele, in a small village called Madonsi. I went to primary school. The name was the school was Mutanis Primary, and then I went to Shingwezi. That was my secondary school. It was called Shingwezi High School. And then in 2015, that's when I completed my matric. And then 2016, I started at VUT, where I did my national diploma in civil engineering. Currently, I'm working as a site engineer for JEDD Civil under one of the projects, under one of the mine called Zubulo. We are busy executing a mine. We're actually developing a new mine. So it's quite a nice project, and the value of the project is plus minus 250 something million. So it's a nice journey. Thanks.
Thanks, Tiago. You can see the vast knowledge of these students, but we're going to explore it further on that because some looks like they started with JEDD when it started. Some came in between. Some are still new. So in a nutshell, we are almost very close to what the vision of Mr. Mgiba started with and where it is now. Perhaps can even grow beyond what is in front of us. Because when you hear the student holding a project of 94 million, 200 million, and is asking yourself how much job creation are the students doing to other job seekers there out in the world? But beyond taking anything away from that, let me start with Tandeka. The reason why I'm starting with the Tandeka is just to take us in terms of your transition from the student who's got a theory to a student who's going to JEDD and being hand-picked or hand-moved from A to B to where Tandeka is now. Because 2015 until now is a little bit of a journey, which means your students who are currently at VUT, who are currently on their final year, and I'm going to plead with you as a student, when you say S4, explain to other ambitious students who are listening to you what is S4 meant. So that we can make sure that our language is much more easier to one another. Just give us your transition, Tanega, because I think your transition should be a little bit longer because you've been long in that field, in that space. Where you started, from where you started, what learnings you have, why do you leave that portion of that learning? Because I think it's more like very close to a value chain. How do you take us longer in that value chain? Tanega?
Okay. Or to explain the S4, when you do your diploma, you do it with semesters. The semester 1, semester 2, semester 3, semester 4. That's theory work. Yes, you do that in university. And then when you're done with your S4, you need to secure practical work. That's where the work integrated learning comes in. Yes.
Ah,
The-
I'm now learning. With other listeners are also learning.
Yes, that's
So
where the integrated learning comes in the department. You submit your academic record and your CV. You tell them you're ready to go to the professional world. This is your work. Can they help you find employment?
okay,
Yes, with me, I was unemployed for about a year. I was at home for about a year. And I've applied to different companies and none of them responded to those emails. But luckily, JEDD called me in 2015 of July and said, we have a space for you. Do you want to come? I was like, okay, I'll come. With the support of my parents, they drove me from Mpumalanga to VAL because Rainwater, the project was in VAL. So I went from Mpumalanga to VAL. I did the interview. Then I did a site walkabout. I saw what was happening, what's in line with what I've studied at school. So from there, I met Mr. Mgiba
just,
and the
just,
JEDD team.
just to remind listeners, what did you study at school?
I study civil engineering, a diploma in civil engineering.
Thank you.
And then
Carry on
from
with
there,
sidewalk.
yes, I transitioned from my academic. I was a bit rusted because after a year of being at home, you forget what you've learned. It takes you a while to get back to the theory work and the site. So you need to get mentors, you need to get people to show you the ropes. The people on site were very kind and understanding that we have students, we need to show them how to work, we need to show them how to do what we do. So I was there, and then I realized that what I've learned in books and what I'm doing now was two different things. The real world scenarios are often require professional judgment, which is something I didn't have at the time. But I relied heavy on Mr. Mgiba's mentorship and guidance, and I was able to complete my practical work.
Clarify, how do you define professional judgment?
You will get a drawing, for example, and then you will see the contract at them. The measurement would be 4x5 or 5x4 meters, and then when you get to site, it's a different ball game. There's completely nothing there. And how are you gonna measure the 4x5? How are you gonna measure the 3x2? So you need to have calculations, you need to have past experience, you need to have knowledge from school in order to do the job.
Fantastic. And what were some of your challenges there? I mean, you have encountered that space. Probabilities are the transition of theory to practical was one of the challenges. And then how do you convert those challenges into opportunities?
So with what I faced on site, I spoke to a lot of people who have experience on site, the site team, the foremans. Those are your best friend when you want to learn work, you want to learn drawings, you want to learn the surveying part of it. You speak to them, you tell them what you're trying to achieve, then they show you how to do it.
Was that transition very smooth, or was there any hiccups? Do you know? Sometimes they said when you are a woman entering a male-dominated environment, we always perceive you as somebody who is not in par, but very close to inferior, like Miss Sylvia mentioned in the previous conversation. So the transition of women is always being seen differently. How do you perceive that transitional opportunities, especially from a reform side?
So when I got there, I was still a student and I was young and I was the only female on site. So that was a challenge initially. And then I worked with only males. It was only males on site. And then I approached them. Normally you approach a person, you're like, okay, I'm a student. I'm here to learn. I'm here to do my practical work. If you could assist me, please do so. And with the guidance of Mr. Mgiba, he also told his team, these are my students. They knew from school. They're here to do practical work. If you can lend a hand, that would be great.
Okay, that's a nice one. So did you stick there for how long were you on site?
I worked on site for 2 years. I did my
And
practical one, P1 for 6 months, and I did P2 for the next 6 months. Then I graduated and had my diploma in hand. JEDD offered me a permanent position as a site technician with more responsibilities and did different work.
what does site technician do?
From where I was positioned, I was doing costing, payment certificate, and a bit of pricing in the mining sector.
So you're a champion, or you're a champion of BOQ. They call it BOC or BOQ, one of the two.
And not initially, no, I was not. But with that, where I was as a technician, Mr. Mgiba saw my ability to work with numbers, which he recognized that I was very good with this tendering side of the job. And then he said I can transition to the company's tender department. That's where I'm a junior estimator as of today.
Okay. We'll hold it at par for now. Let's go to Tingiso. You can explain to us and then give us an indicative in terms of how did you apply your learning, and then how did you grow as a student in a transition into the professional work environment. Mr. Malulek.
So yes, I finished my diploma and in my theory part in 2019. So I was not doing anything until I finished in June. So I was not doing anything between July and August, mid-August. So in August, I started receiving some calls from different companies. Some of them were in Pretoria for interviews, and then I did went there, but some of the interviews it was not successful. Then I had to go back. So I think after that I was sitting for like a week, and then I received a call from JEDD, and then they said they're offering me they are calling me for interview, so I must come to Wheatbank. So I went there. I went for interview. Everything went well. So after that, I started working on the 26th of August 2019 as a trainee, where I had to apply the theory part of what I've learned in VUT against against the industry, like what's happening on site, what the actual work happening. So it was challenging because I was working with the standards, and then when you get to site, people don't really work with the standards, so they don't really understand that. So I had to, especially with the foremen, I had to sit down with the foremen, some of the stuff, explain to them how I understand this, but they would show me in a different way on how to do things. So that was in 2019. So I was a trainee from 2019 August and for about 2 years, I think. And then in 2022, that's when Mr. Giva decided that he must move me to JEDD, and I can't forget this. It was on my birthday on the 17th of August when he told me that he's moving me to JEDD. I'm telling you, that was the best gift someone can ever receive. So it was my birthday, so he did tell me that, and I was so happy. So I was not expecting any gift from anyone. It was enough from Mr. Mgiba. So from there, I was doing a PCD. I was working as a technician. So I was doing a PCD in one of the mine in Hendrina. The mine is called Mavungwane. So we were doing a pollution control dam, of which I had to apply some of the knowledge that I've learned throughout as a trainee, of which there were challenges, but this time around it was not that much because I had some few experience from the other guys on site. So, and then from there in so I was a technician from 2022 September, and then I went to another mine called Inyanda in Clarinet here in Wheatbank, where I was on my own with the site agent. I was still a technician then, so I was basically doing the same thing that I was doing in 2022. And then last year, 2023, I think in June, no, sorry, July. I went to this other mine called the one that I'm currently working on, the Bulo mine, where I'm working as a site engineer. It's quite challenging because every day I get challenges. So it's normal. We are engineers, so engineers must face challenges and come up with solutions. So you wouldn't call yourself an engineer if you don't have challenges. So yeah, it's really challenging. Every day I'm receiving challenges, but what you can do it's how you deal with those challenges, of which I'm in the process of dealing with them, and it's going well with the challenges. Some of them I have to consult my seniors, like the contract manager. I'm working with the contract manager. So yeah, that's basically it.
So Tiniso, it looks like you had a very more on-site exposure, specifically moving from different mines. The question comes in and say, if you describe your acquisition and knowledge of your skills, especially with work integrated learning, and what in terms of what you apply into your current role, how did you take that leadership and make sure that you apply it? Because what I'm picking up here is your theory and what you see on site. Sometimes there's a disjuncture. That's what we call normally say a challenge. Those learnings, how did you make sure that you apply them and you produce your current production, which is currently in place? I'm not sure what is the current project which you are currently doing at Dipolo mine or Dipolo mine as a site manager. What's the value of that project? Because it always kicks in. What I've realized with engineers, they normally mention the project or the project they've handled before, the value of those projects, and it helps them in terms of this is a specific project and these are tasks which are in front of me, and here's an evidence of those tasks. How did you transition those two?
So yeah, like I've said, when I sorry, when I got to site, most of the guys were very practical. Like on the drawing, they like to do things differently. But with us, like we are coming from school, we are friends from school. So what we were taught in school, it's like you have to do it as per drawing. But some of the guys on site, they don't really. They want to. They are trying to make sense of how are they going to do it. So we there was a gap there because in my experience, the theory experience, that's not how you do things. But in their experience, that's how they do things. But at the end of the day, you get to the same results. So I had to sit down with the foreman, try to explain my situation, and they had to explain their own situation as well. And then that's when we decided to agree on one thing, that this is how we're gonna do things, and then going forward we won't have any challenge. But even today we still have those challenges. But at the end of the day, we are trying to achieve one goal. So if we can get to that one goal, then we rather do it like the way we are agreeing together. Yes.
So you have grown from being a site technician to a site engineer. Chances are you handle specific project. It's more like as a project manager of this specific site, I'm now relying confidence on you. Just give me the project which you believe you have handled and you have handled more professionally, and you can say this is the cap I'm holding up for. Any project in all these 3 months which you have handled, and what was the value of those projects?
The
Inigo?
project that hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Yes, we can hear you.
And Rabula, I guess it is if he is comfortable with them. Maybe
Yeah, maybe
not
we need to move on. Yeah, okay.
figure.
While you are thinking about that, Inigo, let me rather move to Tandega, the Wheat Bank lady. Probabilities are you come from a rural area. I'm in a rural area. I'm in Madiben municipality in Bojana district. So I see a lot of rural guys exploring when they enter in a field of specialized, and they take it in both hands. Tandega, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I've mixed my names with my Mashia. So where I am sitting, you sound like a more an inspirational person to the up and coming youth who are looking in terms of entering JEDD itself. With your work environment, what do you think of the culture of where you come from, an environment, your current culture in the organization, and how do you think you can explore it? Because your working environment will inspire those guys. Because that's one of the transition which normally came in, especially on working related learning, where few guys are saying the old guys don't want to release the knowledge because new guys are coming in are very IT orientated. Where do you think the working culture and environment help you to grow as a person? How do you differentiate the two?
Okay, so I grew up in a village. My whole life I lived in a village. So coming here to Witbank, which is a more industrial area filled with mines, it was surprising in a way. So when it comes to work, the work environment, I think one of the first things one must understand is, the hierarchy and authority. You must know who to go to for certain things, so it makes your work easy, if I can say that. So, for certain things, we have in construction, we have a lot of different professionals. You have your site agents, site technicians, your safety officers, and your managers who come every now and then, like Mr. Mgiba, because they are not based on site. So when they do visit, there are certain things that you need to go to them for. So yeah, the work culture in the construction industry, um, it's good. I mean, if you collaborate with other people, because there isn't a job or a task that you can do single-handedly, so you have to be able to work with other people, work in a team, because that's how you.
Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. Looks like the line is
Job on time and within budget.
No, no,
So you
she's
need
still
to
there.
work with everyone from different areas. So as long as you have a common goal, uh, am I still audible? Because I'm getting some sounds here on my side. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear you.
lost you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Rapula, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you proceed, Marcia? Proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, yeah. Okay, because I was getting some sound, so I wasn't sure if the message was getting through. But yeah, so yeah, that's how it is.
So what do you raise into the audience is that on a site in a
Yeah,
construction, you work like in a factory. In a factory where everything goes through a fan belt. So
yeah.
when you're sitting as a technician, if you miss something else, the site manager may not even miss it. So it must make sure that everything works according to the plan.
Yes.
Okay. And then how did you find that culture? Was it something you expected or something was, oh, wow?
It was something I expected because, during the course of learning, you do get to learn about the kind of people that you are going to work with. They do tell you that in a typical site, these are the people that you would find there. But it's not all sites, because most of the time it depends on how big a site is. So a site like the one that I'm currently working for, which is for Tungela project, it's a very big site, valued at 260 something million. So this site, like in my position, it's not just me. I'm not the only site technician there, like I was in other projects. So depending on the site, you will find different levels and different people. Because on a smaller sites, like the ones that I've worked before, you would only find a site technician and a site manager or a site agent. But in this one, there's a site manager, site technician, site engineer, students, quantity surveyors, land surveyors, all in one site. So it was something that I expected, but uh, not like this. I mean, in this big project, because when I first got here, I was working for a small project, so there was only in my section, in the engineering section, there was a site agent, quality manager, a site technician, and myself as a student. So that was something that I expected because I was taught about it in school. So you know that these are the kind of people that you're gonna have to work with.
In your environment, just mentioned to us that you do have some students. How do you guide those students? How do you help them? Because somebody helped you. How do you help them to grow?
So I'm basically doing the same thing that was done to me because it was actually great. It has helped me a lot. So since it worked for me, I guess it can work for others. So I still go to guidance, to my managers because I am not. I've only been here for 2 years, 6 months, meaning the first year was training. So I've only been qualified for a year and 6 months, which is not a lot. So when guiding the students, there are things that I don't know how to navigate, but my bosses are always there for me for such things. So I am able to teach them what I can and what I cannot. I am glad that when I can't teach them something, I know where to direct them. I just don't leave them at that. I know, okay, this is beyond me, so you need to go to a certain person, be it a site engineer or the manager. So that's how I deal with the students that I'm currently working with now.
So as a student or sitting outside listening to you, you have actually given me a picture of the site in the construction side of it. That you've got so many different layers of the people doing different work in the space, but they coordinate amongst themselves. We cannot do one without the other. So it's more to work as a team in a nutshell. That's what I'm picking up what you just said to me now. In your opinion, how do you foresee that as a profession from professional growth? How does that help you from professionally growing in a space? I know it's a very short period from 1.5 2 years. It's still very young in a construction or in engineering space.
Yes.
Okay,
So
but no,
I don't think I got the question. You were saying, what about professional growth?
where do you see yourself as a professional in that space, especially taking working career learning?
Yeah, I would like to think, in my opinion, that my professional growth, I think it was a bit quick, if I can put it like that. So since my training was a year, uh, after in the project that I went to, so within that year, I worked on 2 projects. So the project that I went to, I started with. So after I was officially done with my training, which was a year, I think about 3 months, that means I was at JEDD for 1 year, 3 months at the time. So I had to, so Mr. Mgiba comes to site one day and he says to me, Masha, do you think you can finish off this project? And I asked him, what do you mean? He says, by yourself, without a site agent, can you finish off this project? Because at the time, we were only left with about 2 months to finish the project. And honestly, I just I couldn't answer the question because in my mind I'm thinking I have just finished up my training. I'm not sure if I'm able to do that, like to lead people on a much larger scale, to have everyone looking at me for things and answers. Because at the time they were saying he was saying he needs to take my site manager to another site to start another site that I would join him later on after I finished because the site has to start and we are not done yet. So it was scary, it was challenging because in my mind I'm thinking these three people, the three people meaning my Mr. Mgiba, my contracts manager, and my site agent, they see something in me that I obviously can't see yet. They think at my level I can actually finish off a project. So I was scared because I'm thinking I cannot afford to fail them. So I need to prove myself. I need to do this. As much as it's scary, they told me that they're just one phone call away. Whatever I need, they'll be there. Even if they can't be there every day, I just need to make the call and I'll be fine. So I did that. I managed to finish off the project because I had a support structure. So I was really grateful for that. Like, I am growing at a much faster pace than I anticipated because that's not something you expect, to be transitioning from training within 3 months. Already you need to finish off a project. So yeah, my professional growth has been great so far, and I am grateful because now it shapes you. You gain more confidence in the decisions that you make. You gain more confidence in being a leader, in leading people. So it was scary at first, but I was actually grateful that they were willing to take that chance on someone who was inexperienced.
We need to compliment Mr. Mgiba by just throwing you in a deep end and you were able to move out of the deep end. He's the person who saw the potential on you and said, no, here's Marcia. Let me throw that Marcia to deep end. And said, Marcia, that's a telephone call away. So a very good contribution, which means he's living his vision in terms of saying, this is what I'm going to do with this jet civil engineer project. But
I
let me move
wanted to edify that point, Rapula. Thank you so much. Let me just interject and appreciate the message from the lady that Mr. Mukiba spoke about, Zindle Manana. She's on the line. She's listening, and she has did a thank you note into the chat, and I will read it so that everybody can hear it, and also Mr. Mukiba in particular. She says, to Mr. Mugiva and the whole JEDD Civils team, thank you for the memories, the challenges, and the growth opportunities. I am grateful for the experiences that have shaped my career. I'm immensely thankful for the opportunities for growth and development that you provided during my time there. That's Sindle Manana.
Wow. Thank you, Zindle. I think you're not the only one who's got such a similar message to, and also the JET. Thank you, Sam. I think that is a very good message you need to even now and then read it to the listeners and to the team itself. This is not a project which you need to put it aside, but the project is growing as South Africa immensely across. It started small, but you never know in 10 years' time it might be one of the biggest work integrated learning transition for the majority of students, not only in the UT, but even across the country. But thank you, Mene Manana. Let me move to you, Tanega. I didn't forget about. Let me ask you your cultural exposure, work cultural exposure, environment itself, and your current exposure. Is it what you expected when you entered the work environment, or something which was actually a wow or a shock to yourself? Tandega?
Yes. When I first transitioned from high school to the working environment, I had no female representative on site. I was the only one, so it was something that I didn't expect at all. I was hoping to find at least few women there to guide me, or to see how they work, or to guide me through my journey. But I was fortunate that the people who were on site were able to do that despite the lack of females. So from there, the culture of JEDD working, it focuses more on continuous learning. So it grows a person's potential. Until today, that same value still stands. Recently, I graduated with an advanced diploma in project management, and the company was able to sponsor my finances on that.
Oh, that's good. It's good to hear that. So I'm saying, yeah, from your side, your cultural shock was very minimal because you found people who took you up. Only difference that there were no females in the team. So you actually established new female culture within the culture of JEDD Space at the time.
I did that, yes. I was the first line of student that Mr. Mgiba recruited from VUT.
So how many females students or workers are you now together in a team at this moment? Because don't forget you're an icebreaker.
Right now, I work at an head office. I have a female colleague, Humutso. Yes, we share an office space. We are both estimators.
So you also you've already transited from the site back into the head office space also.
Yes, I've already transitioned from sites in 2017 to head office to work on the tender department.
Oh, okay. So you are a person actually giving money or jobs to the guys on the side.
Yes, we are the first line of people to get jobs for the people on site.
That's why I'm saying yes. You are a person actually giving them the work on the side, because people can underestimate that type of a job of especially putting intended documents together. It's not an easy one. You need to be as accurate as possible. That's why I'm asking you. I'm going to ask the question like they normally call bill of quantities. You are then expecting that.
I have supports that I work with in putting up the bidding, and I have a senior as well who I work with in putting up the tender to the client.
As a prospective student within work integrated learning, and I'm listening to you, and I said to myself, if Tanika can make it, I also can make it. What would you advise that student? What the person must look for and look out for in terms of your personal learnings, which you were not taught at the W8 work integrated learning space, and now you are also on a factory space. What do you say?
What I can tell the next person that comes after me, I would say, be ready to work, be ready to grow yourself, be ready to study, be ready to follow the guidelines of those that came before you, and then be ready to just do the work, show up and be present.
Is there any specific attribute you can pinpoint? Just one attribute, not necessarily the entire attributes.
Time management, be at work on time, and communication.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. So it's good because don't forget that constructions works on time. It doesn't matter whether it's raining or not raining. If you didn't fit in project, if you didn't fit in the project on time, chances are you may lose money.
Yes, even the tenders, they have closing dates, deadlines. The contract awards and contract completion dates, they have deadlines. So you need to manage your time and be there.
Okay, right. What's your future aspiration as a Tandeka who is I call a jack of all trades now?
Right now, where I'm standing, I'm working on mastering what I'm doing, and then maybe in future, I head the Department of Tendering at JEDD Civils. Yes, so the company can get more work and be competitive in the construction sector.
And your professional?
My pardon?
Your ambition aspiration when it comes to professional?
My aspiration, maybe get more work for the people on site, and then do short courses to enhance my knowledge and also learn from my mentor, because he's always there to guide us whenever we are in a jam.
So you guys, you are abusing Mr. Mgiba, but it's your turn because
It's not.
he's, he is going. No, I don't disagree with the open door. He's going to delegate some of his responsibility to you because he's proud of you. So you need to be proud of him. Said no, instead of other students going direct to him, come to us.
Recently, I had the opportunity to show a rope to a high school kid, grade 11 student, what we do at the head office. Yeah, I think I'm confident to take on a student as well.
You're not confident
And
enough.
are we expecting Tangtega and the rest to very soon acquire their professional engineering qualifications? Are they working towards that? Perhaps that's the question
Yeah.
Rapula is asking.
Yes.
With
But
Exxon.
but it looked like Tandega he realizes his passion is not on administration. That's why he's looking in terms of heading the tendering system.
Yes, my aspiration is not on the site, it's more on the
I
office,
see.
on the QS. Yes.
So it's more to say that she has studied engineering, but when she's getting integrated in engineering space, she realizes, no, my passion is on administration, although it's got a background of engineering. Is that my analogy correct, Tanega?
My background is in line with the civil works, but the civil work comes from the construction estimating work. So my strongest suit is on the money side, if I can put it that way.
Perhaps that's a mentor, Rabula, perhaps that is a mentor type of a question from a guidance point of view, because we don't want Tandega and the rest of them 10 years down the line to say, "Ish, I should have actually pursued my engineering qualification." Maybe we should leave that as a question mark for them to talk to their mentors about it. I'm not knowledgeable about that, but I could imagine that could be something that may come back to be required. I'm not sure. I don't know whether Mr. Mugiba is able to interject that with.
But what I'm also picking up in Sam is that Mr. Mgiba is listening. Chances are some of them maybe will take that later onset. I listen to you, and then possibilities are. I agree with you, sir. Perhaps it's something else which the person need to look at it differently and take it from the angle.
Indeed.
Yes, yes. Let me move to you, Tinigo. I don't want to leave you as if maybe you are somewhere around the lines. I'm going to ask same questions, but in a different format. What is your current short term or and long term? And let's start with what's your current short term goals that you have put to yourself in a workforce, and how do you continue building on those foundations you've laid on your work integrated lady? Can you go?
Yes. My short term, because I am registered with EXA as a candidate, so I'm planning to write my reports and make sure that I submit everything before end of this year, so that I can be a professionally registered person. And then, yeah, next year I want to start with my project management. I was actually discussing with my contract manager that I want to start with the course project management. And then after that, I will have to do my BTech. I still have to do my BTech. So I will start with the project management first, and then I will do the BTech after. So that will be my BTech. I can start in 2026. I don't mind, because next year I want to focus on my project management.
That's good. That's fantastic. So you are a focus man.
Yes, I'm a very focused man.
Okay, all right, that's good news then. And then the culture in work environment, from where you see it, did it shock you when you entered the working environment, or was it say what you expected?
I would say 50% that it's what I was expecting, because in VUT, while I was studying, there was a building It was being constructed by Figile Construction. So some of the time, like during lunchtime, I was going to check what's happening on site. So they would allow us to just to check as someone who was studying civil engineering because they were anyway doing construction. So I was having that opportunity to go there to have a look what's happening there. However, when I get to site myself, the only thing which was surprising, I was the youngest person on site, the youngest person on site.